Hello, hello. What's up? What's up? It is a new day, it is a new week, and it's time to get social. My name is KaVonna, and welcome to the Introvert's Social Hour. Hello, hello, welcome. Today we are talking about being a Black creative in today's time and space. I brought a friend from college, Obinne, to talk about her experience as well. We did Hairspray the musical together in college and, going back to just that original creative space as well. To know about Obinne a little bit, she is currently working in the reality TV space for an LA-based production company. She loves TV, film, and has been exploring her passions in both the writing and acting space. Obinne hopes to eventually become a creative producer in the scripted TV space and elevate the voices of other Black creatives. Please welcome Obinne. Woo woo.
Hey.
Hello, hello. How are you doing today, Obinne? How's life?
I'm doing good. We're hanging in there. The weather could be better in New York, but
Oh,
we're hanging in
100%.
there.
I am glad that it didn't rain today though. That got me because I thought it was supposed to rain, so I definitely pushed my schedule back, but I ended up going outside.
Yeah. Yeah. The rain's been weird though. It hasn't been like consistent. It's like it'll rain for 20 minutes just randomly throughout the day, and then the rest of the day is fine. So that gives me hope to at least leave my home. It's not going to be the whole day of
Oh
rain.
yeah. That was the nervous part though. I went outside and I was like, I'm gonna hope it doesn't decide to rain on me.
Yeah.
We're gonna take the risk. Like,
It's been very funny to watch New Yorkers. Like we're like in full dresses, like crop tops, and then it just starts
mhm,
pouring and no one expected it. And now we're just like
mm-mm,
running for our lives. It's an
literally.
interesting sight.
It has been. Well, I'm super excited to talk about this topic today. This is something I personally don't like talk about often. I think just in a sense of I kind of keep in my own headspace. So I'm super excited to talk to someone else about this. Um, and it is definitely a unique experience being a creator in general in this current age, but then also it is interesting because then we also have to navigate the fact that we're Black, and quite
Mhm.
honestly, things are so much harder for us. Um, just in creative spaces for sure, but in pretty much all spaces, which is unfortunate. So it does feel like, and things kind of go hand in hand with each other in regards to fighting for a spot or fighting for a space somewhere, and
Mhm.
then us just kind of figure out where we go kind of. And so I'm excited to talk about your experiences and even other people's experiences too.
Yeah.
So just so the people know a little bit about yourself, how long would you say you have been a creator? And for you, what has it been like so far, as successes, challenges, etc.?
Um, hmm. As far as like creating like original things that I've like thought out of my brain,
Hmm.
probably college. But I've always been a creative in the sense like I've always like sang. I've done theater in like high school.
Yeah.
I've been singing since I was like a kid. So I've always been within the artist space of it, but like actually trying to contribute to art, I guess, within my own ideas and things like that, probably college.
Okay.
It's like, oh, I can write things, I can act and say things from my mouth and my brain.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely college was like a chance to explore that and like find other people to like contribute to that vision, which was really cool.
Okay. Out of curiosity, what made you kind of activate in college? Like what was the turn?
I think really like investing in myself in terms of taking classes and taking opportunities like hairspray and just like
Mhm.
going for things that were always like in the back of my mind, like, oh, I'd love to do that, I'd love to do that. But then actually applying myself and, submitting and taking things that were, within that space. It was never like my mom never like put acting to me like as a job. It was like, oh, that would be
I feel that.
cool. But like to be like, yeah, I really want to act. She's like, that's a hobby. Great.
Yeah.
That's not a job.
Yeah.
But she definitely was still disappointed. I didn't want to be like a nurse or a doctor or something. So I was like, the
Yeah.
next stage of that marketing, that's a career, that's a job.
Hmm.
So it was like college was the first time I was like, wait, I could maybe do this like for real. Like people actually make money off this and you get to
Hmm.
do your art and also make money and pay your bills. And I was like, maybe that could happen for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I gave myself a green light.
I love that. I love that because that's a great way to say it, because I've never thought of it as like a green light and like giving
Hmm.
yourself a green light. Because I've had that similar experience of, for me, when did I feel like I was ready to take that step? Like, yes, I was always interested in these things. Like, theater, but I didn't take that step until
Mhm.
college. I was always interested in like dance, and I did dance in high school, but then I kind of like fell out of it a little, stepped out of.
Yeah.
So there's also like stories of just like what that looks like and what that green light looks for you and pushing yourself. So
Mhm.
I love that. I love that. Giving yourself the green light. I'm gonna use
Yeah.
that.
We both gave ourselves a green light. We're proud of us.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead. And then out of curiosity, like with that green light, is there anything that inspired you to push into that creative path? Or were you just like, I think it's just
Mm,
time? What happened there?
I think, I don't know. I think it really just like opportunity meeting preparation type of thing.
Okay.
I mean, I guess like in college, like that's when I did like hairspray and like I think things became a little more real for me. And then after college, I think the pandemic probably was my like kind of catalyst to like let me
Mm,
start applying for things like that would make me money, like not
yeah.
just doing it for the art and the fun, which I always want to do it for. I always want it to be fun. But hairspray really was, I genuinely had, still I will talk about it like for the end of time because I really just
Yeah.
had the best time on hairspray, like
Mhm.
connecting with you, connecting with everyone else. And
Yeah.
the show is such a fun show. I love Motormouth Mabel. I love I love her songs. I
Mhm.
still sing her song as like my like theater audition song because it's just like
Yes.
that good and that powerful and like emotionally connective for me. So it's just like a lot of things within that experience really connected with me. So then when I left, it was like I think I really checked in with myself and I was like, I really enjoyed that. Like I genuinely I think I say yes to a lot of things. I think we all do. We say yes to a lot of things because we're supposed to. And people
Mhm.
are always telling us to be in our year of yes. Like don't say no to opportunities because you never know what can come of it. But like sometimes if we really check in with ourselves, like, do you really want to do that?
Yeah.
Is the question you should ask. And I still do it. I'm really working on saying no sometimes. I'm like, girl, do you like if I start to get stressed at the thought of doing the things that it would take to do whatever, I'm saying yes to, then you
Mhm.
don't want to do it. Like, you don't,
Yeah.
if it's something no one's paying you, you're doing this outside your hours and you're like, I'm kind of stressed about this and not a good, exciting way, then
Mhm.
you don't want to do it. And that made me realize, like Paris made me realize I did want to do, like I really do love theater. I love people. I love
Mhm.
storytelling, especially in that live platform. And I was like, okay, I should explore. And the pandemic hit and everything went to self tapes. And it was like, oh, this is the perfect chance for me to
It
explore. And
was.
like, if I suck, I suck, but I'm sending it out into the ether and I'm doing something about it.
Mhm.
And I would say that was like the catalyst, was like being able to be in a space where everything was, or is digital at the moment. And I didn't
Mhm.
have to be somewhere like it just felt like low stakes of like, let's just do it to do it.
Yes. Especially like I don't know if during that time were you still in California
I
as well?
was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I feel
Yes.
like a lot of us moved home. I was in LA and then as soon as my lease ended, I just like moved home with my
Yeah,
mom.
yeah. For me, I graduated in 2020, so literally, I was just like, well, I decided to
Yeah.
stay. I was a house advisor, so I decided to stay at the residence halls. I was like,
Mhm.
no, it's not my time yet. I'm not ready to go home. So I was like, I'm
Fair.
gonna just stay in the residence halls. But then I graduated, and so it's time for me to move out. So I went back home, and I was home for about a year and a half or so. Yeah, 'cause I
Hmm.
didn't move until 2022, beginning of 2022. So
Yeah.
I feel
Which is,
that.
I mean, I feel like time at home is like, it was great for like what it was, but then I think at some point it's like, it's time to go.
Yeah.
I
I was
miss
like,
the independence.
like, ooh, look at the
Right.
time. Yeah,
Wait a minute.
we're gonna have to wrap this up real quick. Yeah,
Right.
I feel
Wrap it up, Dan.
that. I feel that. Um, and then out of curiosity too, in regards to your creative journey and how it's begun, obviously college wasn't that long ago for either of us.
Yeah.
What have you noticed in regards to like being Black? How has that shaped your creative journey? Like, what struggles have you found? What like successes have you found? What does it look like for you?
Yeah. I mean, I love being Black.
Of course.
Even though it makes shit hard sometimes. Ooh, I cursed.
Ooh,
Sorry.
no, you're good.
Even though it makes things hard sometimes, being a Black girl, like I think I love being within the TV space, like on the production side, because you're able to see how a lot of decisions are made. I started my career in my career. I started
Hey,
my
it is. It is. It's a start.
feel like that. It's just so funny. feel like I sound old. I'm like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I have
Right.
not. When I started my first day out of college, I worked in casting at ABC as an intern. And I
Okay.
learned a lot there about the system of how things work, why decisions are made. And
Mhm.
that really helped me as a creative now, like wanting to pursue acting.
Mhm.
I was like, I learned so much from that experience that it really sometimes isn't about the actor at all. So I took a lot of that, and that has helped me, I guess, move within this space. And then as a Black creator, as a Black actor as well, I'm also always, I feel like we're also like always looking at TV, and it's like, that could have been a Black girl.
Mhm.
And it's like, and we love to see the characters that have come out this year. I feel like there has been a lot more opportunities
Mhm.
for Black actors, for non-binary actors, for trans
Yeah.
actors. Like I think there has been definitely more of an inclusion in the past, 2, 3 years. And a lot of these things are going viral, like, Queen Charlotte, and we love India, like she's
Yeah.
amazing. And I don't know that anyone else would have done that role. Like she gives a regal presence in her own, like outside of the role, like
Mhm.
herself. Has this very regalness about her. And I was like, wow, that was a really great casting. Like I see why they chose her.
Yeah.
And I think we're finally coming to a time where, you know, Black folks are not just being chosen because they're Black, but because they're
Yeah.
good, because we are exciting, because we have stories to tell with our faces and the
Mhm.
way we move and we take on roles. And that's exciting to see. Um, but it's still, obviously it's still not at the place where it could be.
Yeah.
Especially with all that's happening in the industry right now. There's just like so much happening behind the scenes. It's like,
Mhm.
we'll see. I hope they still continue to invest in Black stories, as they have been, but we see
Mhm.
like how the tide shift, and all of a sudden, like, I feel like, I don't know, sometimes we get cut out of the narrative sometimes, but
Mhm.
it's been great. We hope it continues. That's what I'd say on that. But as a Black creative, just inserting myself, I'm trying to focus on, I think, picking what I want to be a part of, or choosing what I want to be a part of, with the
Okay.
intention that um, working with other Black creatives is a beautiful thing. And I love when I can do that. But I also
Mhm.
don't want to tell stories that are about us just being Black.
I feel that.
Like we are, and you can
Mhm.
see that very visually.
Yeah.
So what other, like, I think expanding, the narrative on Black folks by sharing stories that are about other things. Like I think
Mhm.
Insecure really, or I wouldn't even say Insecure, Awkward Black Girl, Issa Rae is definitely one of my
Yes.
love her, iconic
She
people who,
is.
yeah,
Sh-
North Star. I was like, wow. But Awkward Black Girl, like that was the first time I was like, how, like, I really identify with this character.
Mhm.
Like, she's kind of nerdy, she's Black, she can't really dance. I was like, I love this. Like, and it was funny and it was fresh. And it's just like that type of, that narrative that we're slowly starting to see more of. Like, that always warms my heart when I see a story with
Mhm.
Black people and it's not about them being Black at all. It's about whatever else the thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So we're definitely
immediately
coming to that point.
for sure agree. For me, I getting acquainted with like Awkward Black Girl and Insecure, I also was like, oh, I feel seen too. Because I was like, not them finally showing like an actual awkward Black girl. Like we don't see that
Yes.
often. Like, like that was like she really helped step out of the box with that because you're right in the sense of we were seeing the same thing or the same portrayals. And some of them are not always like the best ones. And so
Yeah.
like she definitely did her thing with that. I go to like currently we got like Abbott and like
Hmm.
we get Janine, so I definitely love once again like seeing spaces where we can see like us grow. And
Yes.
yeah, I think of like Abbott right now, specifically with that one, the way she pulled people in which who she felt like need who deserved to tell their story a little bit more,
Hmm.
as in regards to acting or who weren't probably feeling as seen in the industry and kind of like pulled them back in, which I think that was really cool as well.
Yeah.
Um, in regards to like creative industries. I say this plural because I know we both have like Utah. I feel like we're like not just like in one place.
Hmm.
We tend to like go to different areas. Um,
Got to.
yeah. are there any challenges you've seen in one area versus another? So when I say like areas, I'm thinking like theater versus film and TV. You've had experience in regards to those, or like music versus comedy. I know you did some comedy. You've experienced some comedy before as well.
Hmm.
Um, for me, I've like experienced like dance and visual arts and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, where do you see challenges compared to others?
Um, hmm.
If so, if you see any challenges at all
I
that
mean,
are
there's
different.
challenges within all of those like
Yeah.
aspects, like within acting, within comedy versus drama, within TV versus film.
Hmm.
Um, I can't say compared to others because
Okay.
I don't know what, other folks are doing. And I do think
Hmm.
I've had to put myself in a mindset, especially within the acting space, put myself in a mindset of like if I didn't get it, it wasn't for me.
Hmm.
Because if it's people say it's all the time, if it's for me, it will never miss me.
Yeah.
And I truly do believe that. Because especially within the acting, especially as a dancer, like sometimes you really can't take a no personally. Sometimes it really is, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And you take every no
Yeah.
personally, it's like, I don't even want to audition anymore. Like, I don't need to do
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
It can be very traumatizing and mentally
Yeah.
not great
Hmm.
for you all the time. Um, so I guess I don't want to compare it to anybody else, but things that
Hmm.
I've seen like for myself personally within doing TV versus theater, I'm not that great at TV film because I don't want to say I'm not that great at it. I have a very expressive face.
Okay.
And in TV film, if you notice, a lot of the shows are, I mean, when there's comedy, it really depends on who it is. Sometimes, like, if you're like a serious person who's been in the industry for long, have a history of creating successful shows,
Hmm.
um, I feel like there's a lot more room to play. Like if you're like, who do I put out there? I'm trying to think, like Jack A, like
Okay.
that. She's like made a brand on being like a very big personality.
Yes.
And people, or Jennifer, somebody say her name, Jennifer Wilson, Jennifer, who's on
Wait, who?
Blackish?
Oh,
Not me
oh,
forgetting
not
her
yeah,
name.
right.
Right.
I just talked about it yesterday too. I know who you're talking about. My brain keeps saying a different Jennifer, and I know that's not right. Ooh, I know who you're talking about though.
You know who I'm talking about. I'm so
Yeah.
mad at myself.
My bad, Jennifer. Yeah, I literally
Right.
was like, wait, no, I know her name. It's okay.
Blackish. She's on
It's gonna come
Blackish.
up to us. Yeah.
It is. It is. I need to do a Google search.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of folks who have a lot of personality. And
Mhm.
I feel like, especially like through their careers, like I feel like they've learned to navigate like how to like switch up like their energy, their faces for what the project is. And I feel like I also need to learn that because I have a very expressive face. And I keep getting told like you smile a lot or like you're doing too much
Ah.
in frame. And it's
Mhm.
different in theater. They want you to do too much because if you can portray the story in that way and really get your point across and take up as much space as you can, that's
Yeah.
completely fine.
Hmm.
I just watched Book of Mormon last night and it was so good. It was so good. And some of them just did the most and it
Hmm.
was really in service to the character. But in theater film, you really have to like bring it back and like
Hmm.
make that eyebrow raise be everything for your point. And
Yeah.
sometimes your face doesn't move at all. And it's people are just like, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that's been a challenge for me is
Hmm.
like trying to retain myself within the world and
Hmm.
bring because they always say like being able to bring yourself to the character is like the best thing you can do because then it comes out as more authentic, but also controlling my face. But also I don't know. It's a lot of things. I think
Yeah.
battling with like not constantly trying to correct myself into perfection of whatever that means because
Hmm. You
doing
don't know
all
the answer.
don't know the answer
Hmm.
exactly. And that doesn't mean you do all the things and someone says no. And it's like, oh,
Hmm.
but like, no, girl, it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
So,
I feel
yeah.
that. Yeah, because it's true. Because every casting director, every director, they want something different. No
Hmm.
matter if the role seems similar to something you've auditioned for, you don't know what they're looking for. You never know.
Exactly.
So I definitely feel that. From a dance space, I've had more experiences with that. And I'll say one of my things that I'm like currently working with in general
Hmm.
right now, specifically in like New York and the specific dance styles I work with, right now I see like a lack of me there in these spaces. And so it does kind of like put me off a bit where I'm just like, okay, Like, I don't know if you know if you ever do this when you walk into a room, you're like, okay, one, two, okay, who else
You're
is out here
right.
like me?
Immediately
Like,
counting. Gotta
yeah,
count the black folks.
immediately counting. Yeah. So like when I'm going to Broadway Dance Center and I'm like, okay, I've made it up the stairs, walked through the hall, still haven't seen one of me yet, you know, like
Yeah.
today's one of those days. So I definitely think about that in a sense. I think it also just connects to I've discovered something that just like where I stand now and like where I didn't stand before. So I always think about like
Hmm.
accessibility too. Like I walk through the door, my brain's already like going, oh, they probably go here all the time. Their parents probably pay. Like, girl, you gotta chillax. So that's where I'm at in
Yeah.
a sense of like, um, but you know, your brain's gonna brain first. So,
Yeah, no, for sure.
but definitely in a sense of just like you're here, and so that means you stand out a little bit better. So like, you know,
Yeah.
what does that say for you? Um, but I definitely agree in a sense of even like when it comes to auditions. So it's like, how do I stand out personally? Once again, you don't know what they need, you don't know what they want.
Hmm.
Dance is similar in theater. You're gonna want to give them the most, and then you know they could tone you down.
Yeah.
But if you give them nothing, they're like, okay, next.
Right. It's hard. Even if you don't do
Mhm.
exactly the right move, if you give it character, they're like, "Ooh, I liked that."
Seriously, yeah,
Yeah. But
that's
it's
so true.
interesting because I actually haven't done any in-person theater auditions. I think I'm gonna
Mhm.
go to an open call next week. So I was like, I'm so curious. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like it is like that. I think I've talked to people who have been doing open calls and all that, like for their
Hmm.
entire career in New York and even within film and TV, like going to casting offices. But
Hmm.
since I started during the pandemic, we've been doing self tapes, even for theater stuff. So I've
Hmm.
never had to like, or I haven't had, I've thought about it obviously, like, I wonder what the competition's doing. But I
Hmm.
haven't had to physically be in the room
Hmm.
often enough to like see like, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
this is my competition. And even when I did arena like
Hmm.
a couple months before I moved to New York, like the roles were all for people of color. So it wasn't like, you like there
Hmm.
were a couple people showed up and that was the moment where I was like, but then they're like, here are the black girls. And I was like, hey girl, we
Yeah.
immediately were like, you got this, and that
Hmm.
community showed up where it needed to.
Yeah.
Even if there's not a lot of us, I feel like, if everyone's in the right mood, in the right, mindset of like whoever's gonna get this is
Hmm.
gonna get this, and we can all make community in that moment. And that's
Yeah.
what I look for.
Yeah, I love the idea once again, like of like bringing community, or just like even like in like technological terms, like networking as well. But like,
Hmm.
also truly just the fact of like finding community in those communities. So like in the
Yeah.
dance community, who are your people? The theater community, who are your people? So I definitely think that's important for one. Also, just like to center as well.
Yeah.
Um, Out of curiosity too, in regards to these like industries and your experiences, are there any like personal fears that have like set you back at all? I know we're still early on in our careers, but are there
Hmm.
any things that have like pushed you back? Maybe you feel like you would have gone a little bit further, but maybe it's a little minor setback or things like that.
I definitely think I would have gotten further if, okay, this is like kind of dumb, but so in the fifth grade,
Okay.
taking
Throwback.
it way back.
Yeah.
This may have had no bearing on my effect, but I do think about it often.
Uh-huh.
My like cousins were doing background acting for like a lot of big like
Ah.
movies, and like they were on Friday and like all these things. And
Mhm.
my mom like signed me up. Like she had to go to court, like not court, but she had to go to like city hall and like do this permit like during the middle of the day. And
Oh.
she like had to get my principal. So she had to go through all this stuff. And
Mhm.
then when she came to me and was like, all right, you ready? Like I'm about to file this, like it's gonna happen. I was like, no. I don't want to do it anymore. She
Oh.
was so mad at me, which is so
Oh,
valid
yeah.
considering. But mentally, I'm my biggest like block because
Mhm.
it sounds so bad.
So true.
In
I feel that.
in my head, I was like, I'm gonna get so famous off this like background acting stuff. I'm gonna miss my friends. I really love my teacher. I don't want to leave
Mhm.
my elementary school. And I was like,
Oh.
my thought process in not doing it, and I'm like, I regret it because
Mhm.
a lot of things could have happened from that. I could have got my SAG card from being
Mhm.
on, three background things. I would have
That's
had
true.
more exposure to the industry and like what it is behind the scenes and like, do I
Mhm.
want to work there? And then, but I also had really bad stage fright at the time. So it's like maybe it could have helped with that. Maybe it might not have helped with that. So there were
Mhm.
a lot of factors in that. But Yeah, that overthinking in my
That,
head of what could have happened, what was possible was like,
yeah.
girl, what are you talking about?
First of all, that's hilarious. Like, but not, I know your mom must have been mad, like you said,
Nah,
because
she was
not you getting the work permit and you're like, actually, I'm going to go back to class.
right. I choose school, mother. I
Yeah.
choose
Literally the opposite of any movie ever. Like,
literally.
it's like, I'm going for my dreams.
Yeah.
The opposite. Well, that's a good one. Not stupid at all. Because I could definitely see what, like, I could see you thinking back to that for sure, for sure. Um, what's so funny about that is I think about that too. Because I feel like during our time when we were kids, like there were a lot of like recruiters kind of like who were like trying to
Hmm.
like get like, especially because Disney was popping at that time, Nickelodeon was popping at that time. I had did like a Disney one, and I remember like doing an audition for like they were testing us, and it was like a testing for a commercial. And my
No.
mom had took me to San Francisco, and we did like a Welch's commercial test. I totally didn't make it, obviously, but
Except for that.
that was hilarious. And I think about that. I wasn't even close though. And then
But you went.
yeah. But I feel like my personal setbacks would be also once again overthinking. I am my worst critic, like
Hmm.
you said, biggest barrier. That definitely is what had held me back just in general. Like you said, like we all have like different thoughts and ideas and creative things. Like I still hold myself back, but it's like, slowly but surely I'm pushing through, like starting this podcast and things like that.
Yes.
Dancing and, doing hairspray. Well, before that I did whatchamacallit, Jesus Christ Superstar, but I
Superstar.
was like
Hmm.
production. And but once again, that was a barrier because I decided to chicken out and not
Audition for what you really
audition for it.
wanted.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Because I remember it was like something happened that day. I couldn't do it. And I didn't try to fight for it. I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
and then they had like a second opportunity to do it because whatever it was, a lot of people couldn't audition the first time. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a lot. So they had second time, and I was like, well, I volunteered already to help somebody, so I can't go. So I'll just be a production assistant. I was just like, okay. But those are experience. Like things are meant to happen, I think. And
Yeah.
that was an experience that I get to take back. Like I love behind the scenes work. I think it's so cool on stage, and I'd be very curious to see what that looks like as well, like on camera too. So yeah, but that
Yeah,
I
no, I
definitely
feel
feel
you.
that. Yeah. The overthinking, I'm in a constant battle.
Yeah, you really, really got to be finding your teammates. And then
Literally.
you're like, let's just do it. I really had
Hmm.
to tell myself, like, girl, like, it's okay if you don't get it. Like, just do
Hmm.
it for fun. And the things I've noticed are the things that I actually enjoyed that I was like, I'm probably not gonna get this girl, whatever. Let's
Hmm.
just do it. But I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. Those are the things I got callbacks for. Like,
Hmm.
so it was like, I got pinned for it's because I just didn't I did the thing just for the enjoyment of it and not
Hmm.
because I was like, okay, I got to get this perfect. What do they want? How do I do this right? Oh, we're not going to get it. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea of like reminding yourself why you're doing it. Well, the purpose of it is
Hmm.
because you love to do it. So
Love
like trying to
talking.
get out of your head and get out of your nerves. I feel
Yeah.
that. Yes. That's a good one. Yeah, be like whenever I go to audition and you love this. You love this.
Right.
Like
Like this. Actually,
like
I mean, I hate auditioning, to be honest. I
yeah,
think most people
100%.
hate it.
Yeah.
It's like so much. I also think I enjoy being in the room more
Hmm.
than I enjoy the self-tape of it because the self-tape leaves, they both have pros and cons. Self-tape leaves more room for you to try again. But then sometimes you try too
Yes.
much. Like you
Mm.
can't be there for 2 days, like, all right, I'm doing this take's gonna be perfect.
I feel
It's like
seen. Yes.
it's like right. And then you end up with the take you did the first time anyway, the second take, and you're like,
Oh.
I spent 3 hours on this stress
Hmm.
and went with the second take that I took 2 hours
Oh,
ago.
Benet, I cannot believe you just talked about my 2020 and 2021 experience.
Stress.
The fact that you even recalled me going back to the first or second take after taking about 10 too many.
Right. Right. When you're past, when you were
Woo.
exhausted, when you're already like, I can't do this no more. And it's like, you should have stopped. You should have stopped.
Right.
Now you really don't want to do it anymore.
Hmm.
Your body's like, let's stop.
Yeah. Especially as a dancer. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
we're on our 10th take. We've been dancing for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now look at the 10th take. You look tired. It's too late.
Right. Just
Like,
rough.
yeah, very rough at this point. Yeah. So that's why I end up going back to other ones. So I
I
feel
feel
that.
you. My agents keep sending me for like, dancer, like chorus dancer stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I've had to do a couple of them and I'm like, Lord Jesus, because I'm really not a dancer. I could hit
Mhm.
my little smooth two-step, but
Uh-huh.
y'all be dancing, dancing. This is the big time. And the way I sweat tape, I'm like, they know I'm tired. I
Uh-huh.
hope they know that I'm putting in work for
Hmm.
this because I'm not a dancer.
I feel that.
Yeah.
To be fair though, especially now dancing in New York, I feel a little bit more seen because some people will literally be dancing and their shirt will be drenched. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't get to the drench point, but I sweat a lot. So like I feel that too. Like I could stand to just sweat. Like
Yeah.
so annoying.
In New York, yes.
And yeah, especially the summer right now. Yeah. So I feel that. Um moving on to create black creators that we love. We talked about like Issa a bit,
Yes.
but I am curious maybe outside of Issa, I'm assuming she counts as well for you. Who are some black creatives who have made an impact on the industry so much so that the industry would not look the way it looks today? What do you think?
Mm. Oh, that's such a real question. I'm okay. I'm honestly gonna say Queen Latifah. She's
Ooh,
like one of my favorite actresses
I feel that.
and singers, and just like I don't know, she's been working for so long, and
Mhm,
she's like one of the first that I can think back to, like as a kid, like watching her movies and feeling seen
mhm,
in that way. Because I mean, I don't like to talk about the weight of it, but like especially in the 90s and like the 2000s, like a lot of the girlies that we were looking up to, they're like skinny and
mhm.
like and I was like, "Oh, great." I don't look like that. I've always
Yeah.
been, more of an athletic body or like just not like I wasn't counted with, the cute and
Mhm.
girls. Like,
Yeah.
okay. The Queen Latifah's always been like she's gorgeous but she can act and like she just really like held it down and consistently like even the roles that she's taken like they've never really been about her being black, like it's always about like something else, so it's just like the career
That's
she's
true.
had is just amazing. And I think
Mhm,
from like Set It Off, like we've seen her in so many different, I don't think she's ever let herself be boxed in, and that's
mhm,
something I just really really respect. She's never been, she's done comedy, she's done drama, like she's played all facets,
action
and
too.
like as a gay woman like in the
Mhm.
90s, like her, like the fact that she hasn't really had to play a gay woman on her career, because
Yeah.
and that's like a big thing in the industry, is like a lot of people don't come out because then suddenly it's like we don't want to cast you as like this straight person.
Mhm.
And like very few people can do it successfully. Like Matt Bomer has been playing straight successfully, but he has
Mhm.
that chiseled jaw, so everyone's just like great.
Mhm.
But it's like like a lot of people can't come out as queer or gay and be able to get the opportunities that they have previously been offered. And I
Yeah.
think we're moving again away from that to like allowing people to kind of play with whatever works for the
Yeah.
works for the role. But it's just like she's just been one that I just respect the way she's handled her career and like really taking control in being able to play different characters and bring herself to it, and it's
Mhm.
always an like enjoyable performance to watch. I just
Yeah.
and just hearing also the way she's treated other black folks who have come up with her, like Sherry Shepherd just like shared a story about like the first time she worked with Queen Latifah on like Beauty Shop, and
Mhm.
the way like Queen Latifah wasn't threatened in the fact that other performers should be able to shine, when they're in a scene together, because she's Queen Latifah. Like we know who
Yeah,
you are.
exactly.
But not everyone also feels that way. And I think that's like probably like the darker side of the industry, is like,
Mhm.
what's happening behind the scenes and some of the, jealousy and bitterness that can,
Mhm.
come up. But I think hearing that in that moment, like she encouraged this, other black woman, this other black actor to really shine in her scene and not worry about taking away whatever from
Mhm.
her, because she couldn't. We're two different strong people, strong actors, like let us both do our best in this scene, let's bring it.
Yeah.
And also fighting, like she's also been a producer on a lot of her things from, I'm talking hell about her because I
You're
just
good.
truly,
That's a good choice.
I love
She's
her.
multi-talented.
Well, talented.
Hmm.
She's been doing that thing for, over a
A
couple
long
decades. I'm
time.
like, just incredible. So many flowers. Who is your pick?
So I immediately thought I'm like going back a little bit, but I have found like in recent years like an adoration for Debbie Allen and how she has put
Yes.
her hands in so many baskets, especially as a just a she started off as a dancer, right? And then we go to eventually then she's of course then choreographer, that's an immediate like connection. And then we go
Mhm.
to like she's producing and directing. We've got Different World. I recently, not too
Mhm.
long ago, have found out, she's behind the scenes on that completely.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like, so then we got Different World. She's acting and stuff too. Then we got, of course, Grey's Anatomy. She's directing. So I just think about how like she's able to like do all this. And then she's still got her own dance studio. So
Yeah.
it's just like, one, she just knows what she's doing. And I've never seen her like not do it well. Um, so I think of her as far as like someone who's like a creator who I feel like not only created spaces for like black
Mhm.
actors, singers, dancers, but did it in a way that helped them continue their careers. So I think about that a lot in regards like what you said for Queen Latifah, like giving people the space. Like there's space for both of us. There's space for all of us.
Mhm.
And I also have heard of like different stories where maybe unfortunately people didn't get that experience, which does like definitely suck. But I always love when people do open doors for other people. I think that's a really beautiful thing and it just shows their character.
Yeah.
Because there is space. There's space. So,
There's
but yeah.
especially now there's so much space. And I think I get it more back then when you literally could be on, five of or one of the five channels and it was like, but
Mhm.
even then, like to hear that folks hopefully were also within that, in that time still creating space for other people to
Yeah.
uplift is important. It's so important. Like you said, it's so
Mhm.
character, telling about someone's character that you can't be threatened all the
Mhm.
time because it really, like, either it's yours or it's not. And sometimes that someone else would, like, you're like, I think as a creative, being able to get into a space where you're like, this, I could do this, but I don't think this really resonates with me. Like, when it's really like I'd be doing this for money, not because I think I'm the best person for this
Mhm.
role, but I know this other person would be great at this. Um, and being able to, use your power and use your leverage to say, hey, like,
Mhm.
you should test this person as well. Or like, if like I've seen, like, I feel like when people get to a certain level within, whichever industry, like when it's like, oh, I can't do something, but I know someone else who can do this, they do a great job. And putting people on like that, and when you're able to go into rooms that maybe someone else isn't
Mhm.
able to, like, that's, throwing in a name that is going to get the job done and like
Mhm.
hasn't gotten the shot yet is like so important. And I hope it's something that we, all start to put into our practice, like as
Mhm.
we get bigger and bigger and
Mhm.
grow within our artistic fields.
Yes, I 100% agree. I think that's one of my like, I guess I call it like a dream or a goal of mine. Like, I always think it'd be really cool to like, when I make it up in the world, depending on wherever that is, being able to be like, oh yeah, I know so and so. And last time they did this, it was like really great. Let pull them in, things like
Yeah.
that. Especially because I know I choose very specifically like who I, stay in contact with and associate with just because I really do vibe off of like good energy,
Mm-hmm.
like genuine energy. And I think back of all the people like I've worked with or interacted with, and even with college,
Mm-hmm.
with this podcast, thinking back to people, I'd be like, oh, I would love to have this conversation with. So like in the future, I would love to do those kind of things, and throughout the people I meet along the way. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just a really cool thing to do. Because I think about that, because like especially at UC San Diego, like I know people who sing. I know people who act. I know people who dance. I know videographers because I knew people
Yeah.
who were part of the I don't even know specifically what that major is, but the media major. So, it's just really cool. I definitely That's one of the things I think would be really cool for me to do. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Oh.
Out of curiosity, so we talked about people who like helped kind of pave the way. are there any people now that you think about who are in that process of like creating spaces, who are like the big names now, who are like, look out for this person because they're doing it right?
Who are the big names now, or they're gonna be the big names?
It can kind of be a little bit of mix of both. Like, so they're like up and coming, or they're like they just started to be a big name, but they just
Ooh,
started their process, you know, like they're not finished yet.
yeah. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I could give you one of mine.
Okay, yeah.
So, and the reason why I say he's not finished yet is because I feel like he still has like a long way to go from what he's like. He has many other goals and dreams, but I
Yeah.
love KaVonne Stage. I don't know if
Oh
you've ever.
yeah.
Mhm. So like especially when I think of like he's got his hands in a lot of hats in like a different way of creativity. Like so like he's got his own app. You know, he's doing podcast after podcast at this point, different things
Yeah.
like that. And once again, he's doing the thing that we were talking about in a sense of pulling his friends with him that he knows are great, you know, creatives and individuals. And I always think about like Kev on stage and like that chick Angel and like what they're doing with their friends and their community. Um, and he even like in his app, he even like created his own scripted television show. So I just think that's really
Mhm.
cool because he's also paving a way for himself in which he's not finding a space in the television world. So I like
Yeah,
that a lot. Yeah.
that's true. That's really dope.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, there's like, because there's people who, have like like they've just started in their careers, but
Yeah.
they like have created amazing things that I'm like, maybe it's not going to happen in the first 2 years, maybe in 5 years, but like
Mhm.
you'll see them. My friend Brianna Seamster doing
Okay.
amazing things. She just like became a finalist on the Disney like writers
Oh,
for one of
nice.
Disney's writers group. So I'm very happy for
Congrats.
her.
Yes.
Yeah, and she's, like she just keeps like I feel like with all the creative, fields, it's like really
Mhm.
pushing at it to just continue and continue and continue.
Mhm.
Even when it's like, oh, I want to stop. But she's one that I think, very soon like we'll start to hear more about. Um, who else? I mean, I feel like Quinta's like she's like super big
Oh,
now.
100%. Yeah.
And it's like we've always known about her from, BuzzFeed and like all
Mhm.
those things. But I think as BuzzFeed kind of started to like kind of die a little bit within, and like
Mhm.
YouTube wasn't as big as it was, um, like her, she's been working on Abbott for like a long time, but now
Yeah.
it's like finally come out. And it's like now everyone's like, oh wait, I know this girl. She's from this thing.
Yeah.
And she's someone who also has like, a lot of the people that she was with, when she was at BuzzFeed are either writing on the show or like working on the show in some capacity.
Yeah.
And I do think that's really beautiful is like putting your friends on truly in that way. Cause
Mhm.
especially like as a writer, like it's really hard to get your first staff writer's gig.
Yeah.
As an actor, it's hard to get your first co-star. So there's like a
Mhm.
lot of different things. Ayo Edarabi, fucking love her,
Mhm.
freaking love her. They came out with her and Rachel. I don't know her last name. But she's like one of her friends she like did improv with in
Okay.
New York. They just came out with Bottoms, which is coming out in like
I
I think
heard
a month.
about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm excited to see that. I watched the
Yeah.
trailer.
Yes, same. I
Mhm.
wanted to see it when they had like they had like they were screening it at festival, but I couldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
And then yeah, I know, but I wanted to go.
Mhm.
But she has that coming out with her friend, and she's also like one she's does comedy, she's in the Bear now, but she also writes, and and the things that she does also are really interesting. Like she
Mhm.
never, it's never boring. Like her style is like, it's a mix of a lot of things,
Mhm.
but it's always unexpected, and that's what I love to see. I love to be entertained, and I don't feel like the movies that have been coming out lately have been like, I
Mhm.
mean, there's been some good stuff, but
Mhm.
overall, I'm like, I don't really know what to watch in the theaters. I haven't been like wowed by anything
I agree.
in a while. So
Yeah.
she's one. I named a lot of people, but
Yeah,
yeah.
these are good ones too. Yeah, I actually just found out about the bear. So I it's on my list now because everyone's like, "Oh, season two's out, season two's out." So I'm like, "Okay, I guess I gotta watch." Also, I didn't know she was in it. So I'm excited to see what it's about. I've never heard of the show until literally recently. But yeah, for Bottoms, I had watched the trailer and I sent it to my friends. I
Yeah.
was like, this looks good. But yeah, I agree though. The movie like area of like beginning 2022 was rough. I think June
Yeah.
end of May we finally hit it. Like we got The Little Mermaid. I watched The Blackening. The Blackening came out. We got
Yeah, Blackening was good.
yes, I love The Blackening. It was good. We got like Across the Spider-Verse and things like that. So I think it's finally
Mhm.
getting interesting again. Barbie. I'm really excited to see Barbie.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad we kind of know a little bit more.
Yeah.
When it first came out, I was like, I don't know if I'm excited. What is it gonna be? What's
Mhm.
the premise of this?
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I think I haven't had anything that has like really wowed me. I still haven't watched Little Mermaid. I'm going to watch it.
Ah, okay. Let me know what
Watch
you
Little
think. Let
Mermaid.
me
I know. I've heard it's good, and I already know I'm gonna be crying because
I
Hallie's voice is
I love it.
incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, even within that, I'm like, exciting things, but like I think finding a movie that hits all the points, not just like the dialogue, not just the cinematography, not just,
Mhm.
the directing and the dialogue, just that hits like all the points. I don't
Mhm.
know if I've seen that in a while.
I feel that. Yeah. I think the last movie, I mean, I feel like this is one that people always talk about as of the recent, but the last movie that really like wowed me, um, like made me think a little bit was
Hmm.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, because I was literally like, what is going on? I was just like trying to figure it out. I didn't watch it until to be fair, no, this wasn't a last year thing. I watched it this year. So this is like,
Okay.
yeah, I was like, it
Fresh.
hasn't been that long. Yeah. But I would say that one. I felt The Little Mermaid though. I loved it.
Hmm.
But it's not meant to be a wowed kind of movie.
Yeah.
So but no, I loved it. I even did a review on it for the podcast too.
Oh, cool.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I got the movie popcorn bucket. I was in it because
Oh,
I,
I'm
I
dead.
I love Halle Bailey and Chloe Bailey, so I was just like I had to go
Yes.
and support. And of course, Halle is always gonna be
It's gonna
amazing with her
eat.
vocals. Literally gonna eat every time.
Hmm.
So I had to go because this is also her year. She got like 3 movies coming out. I'm so excited.
I know. I am excited for The Color Purple. I know it's a remake, but they got some good people. But I think that's
Hmm.
also my point is everything's a remake.
Hmm.
Everything's, like the Marvel, the next movie, Spider-Verse, the sequel, like everything's a sequel
Hmm.
or a remake or this, and
Hmm.
they're good. Like I've been seeing really good remakes, but where are the originals that are like,
Hmm.
like the Get Outs or like something
Yeah.
that really was like, we haven't seen this before. That's
Hmm.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
there's that. I think the blackening was something that
It was
was
good.
exciting. It was an enjoyable watch. Like I
Hmm.
left feeling like, all right, this was money well spent,
Yes. Hmm.
and that doesn't always happen. But
Yes.
yeah.
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully, yeah, I'm excited to see The Color Purple. We'll see how the rest of the timing goes. Some movies are still kind of like trickling with their trailers for this year, but
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I definitely would say Barbie, I'm intrigued by, like you said.
Yes.
So I want them to wow me. So we're gonna see. I don't know. I've been very intrigued by what we've seen so far. And then The Color Purple, just as musical lovers, just in general, I'm
Yeah.
excited. I've never seen the musical version, but
Me
I
neither.
am
I need
excited to
to.
see. Yeah. Well, well, you too.
Right.
It's always
Well, version of it.
right. If it's
I gotta
there,
see it live. Saw
I don't
Hamilton
even
live. I
know.
was like, wow.
Yeah,
Now I
I
gotta see
know.
it.
That's what's hard is like, yeah, because I don't even think there's any. I don't
Running,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Well, they did, I think they're definitely not on Broadway. Or I don't think they're in New York, but like
mhm.
probably Chicago or like Arkansas or something.
Yeah,
It's happening. It's
a little
happening
small.
somewhere in the country. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully accurately portrayed as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then to bring it back though, for just like our personal experience as Black creators, for me, I am very curious, like what you have, just like because I love picking people's brains when it comes to just like overcoming obstacles in general in the creative spaces, no matter wherever they
Mhm.
um, are there things that you have found that help you overcome these obstacles while you are in your creative pursuits?
I think definitely asking for help when you don't know something, or if you're even a little unsure. Like,
Hmm.
I think being over prepared or feeling over prepared, like to the point where like, oh, I know this, like that always
Hmm.
helps, like doing as much of the, background. So then your mind isn't as much of like a, getting the overthinking doesn't get you as much because you're like, oh, I know this. Like,
Hmm.
and just feeling confident in that, and then reaching out for help if you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. So
Hmm.
asking all the questions all the time that you can to people, checking within your community of like, sometimes you don't even need, like help with the thing. You just need someone to support you. You just need to talk about it with somebody and really just
Hmm.
vent and, get that support that you need within your friend group. And sometimes that's all you need, for you to go for it. Um,
Yeah.
but it definitely is like a being able to talk or reach out for help when you don't know it, whether it's like coaching on whatever it is. And
Hmm.
definitely like the community building thing is a big thing. And I haven't found that in New York yet. Like I'm
I
still,
feel it.
especially within, I think that's my biggest thing is like I haven't been able to find like I haven't been able to find as many other folks. Like obviously it's New York. Like there are a lot of people doing theater and singing and dancing.
Hmm.
But like finding, my like tribe of people who are like, oh, we're checking in with each other, and
Hmm.
I just did this, like, have you done this before? Because you know, chances are they probably have done this in like a different audition, or like,
Hmm.
so having people that you can really check in who like understand it from that aspect of like you're auditioning, and you need to mentally be prepared for this and
Hmm.
physically be prepared vocally and all those things. I haven't found that yet in New
Yeah.
York, but I have started building like my community of friends and people who I like trust even back
Hmm.
home here, and teachers who I can, reach out to if I need
Hmm.
to, coach on something.
Yeah.
And that has been the best to like overcome those things, what is even when it's just me like being, overthinking in my head. I think those have been what has helped me the most. Not
Okay.
foolproof, but the most.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. We definitely should follow up with each other for sure. Be like, did you
Yeah.
audition? Have you been have you been doing this?
Right. Because
I
things have been
because
happening.
yes, because I definitely need a little follow-up person for sure, for sure. But yeah, I definitely see that. I agree. I think for New York though, I think the thing is there's so many people that it's hard to then find them. Because
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of us like who are creatives, but I think it's the like even though sometimes specific worlds can be small, like some I'd be looking fine like seeing other people who are dancers in places where I'm like, we're both here in the same spot and I haven't what okay, cool. Like that happens
Right.
sometimes, but also just like once again finding like genuine connections and things like that. And I think that's the biggest one because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes not everyone is so genuine, you know? And so like intentional, I would say maybe. Um
Yeah, I feel
yeah,
that.
it's especially in like creative spaces. Sometimes most of the time I would say it's very like wholesome experience and then sometimes like it's very like generic. It's like okay,
Yeah.
like I
I
don't know
think
how to
it's
explain a little bit
hard to
more.
get past that, like, hey, how are you? And like we're friends for this moment of like checking. That's the hardest part, truly, because I feel
Mhm.
like in New York, you meet so many people every day, no matter where you go.
Mhm.
Coffee shop, just walking down the street, you could talk to somebody, but like making it from, hey, how are you? Great, da, 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 to like actually talking, to actually meeting up a week from now, to
Mhm.
actually checking in on each other. People have to be open to that. And not everyone is, which I get because it does take a lot of time to maintain and energy to maintain friendships and
Yeah.
keeping communication. But genuine is nice.
Yes, I feel that. I also just think one, me being an introverted person plays like a really hard, like there's a barrier I gotta pass through,
Hmm.
which is also that's a whole other conversation. But just me being social in general. So I really am the worst when it comes to like networking and
Feel that.
just trying to like make new friends even like it's
Yeah.
bad. It's bad because I that literally these past few days I have been at home. Like, ma'am, go outside and get some fresh air, which I did today. But like, it's
Proud of
so
you.
easy. Thank you. It's so easy for me to just stay inside, and chill. Like I'm
Yeah,
truly, which is like this is good that I'm okay by myself, but like also like we should probably, go outside. But to be fair, once again, it's been like rainy and inconsistent, so that also kept me in on purpose.
exactly. You had an excuse to be
Yeah,
inside
uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
house.
The rain gave me an excuse. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I mean, rent is expensive, so I could keep my butt at
Right.
home where I do pay rent. And
Right.
I think enjoying your own company is important because
Hmm.
I feel like New York is overstimulated. Like you go outside and it's too much to do
Hmm.
sometimes. But I think, yeah, the balance of it. At least
Yes.
once a week, I try to leave my house to go hang out with somebody else or do
Hmm.
something.
Yeah.
That's been a good compromise.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely figuring that right now because like Monday through Friday on a school year, I'm
Hmm.
overstimulated every single day. Which is
Chill.
why another thing is like, girl, as an introvert, why are you a teacher? But once again, I love dance and getting to help little kids like learn about dance and things like that. It's really cool. But yeah, I think I'm on overstimulation, like decompression. I literally
Hmm.
just finished my school year last Friday, so it hasn't even been a full week yet. Thank you. Right.
No, I feel that. I feel like
Mhm.
when we would leave like college and we'd go into our summer breaks, like I wouldn't talk to anyone for 2 full weeks. Like I
Yeah.
just needed to be by myself.
Hmm.
And then I'd be like, oh, I miss everyone.
Right. I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Hello world. Right.
Yes.
Literally. Um,
Good for you.
okay, let's see. So I did want to talk about like we did talk about a little bit about current people.
Hmm.
Um, out of curiosity though, are there any current events in recent years that have affected your creativity? Creativity either in a positive or negative light. Um, it could be like a what was it? When was it? Why was it kind of thing.
Hmm.
I could give you my answer first, give you some little time to think about it. I think my biggest like push, one weird enough to say, it took a minute though, was like the pandemic. But like I said,
Same.
it took a minute though, because like I was also like just going through things at that time.
Hmm.
But then, afterwards, I was just like, we gotta go for it, And my creativity is once again an in and out experience, depending on where my mental is as well. Um, But that was also the time I was like, ooh, let me post like some dance videos. Okay, I'm finally posting on Instagram, like different things like that. And I've gotten way better because wow, me and posting do not go hand in hand. But
I'm done.
um, I would say that for sure. And just really being like, what do you want? And I think also in 2020, before the pandemic was a pandemic, um,
Hmm.
being like, okay, what is you're graduating soon. Like, what are we doing here? Because dance was not my major, but it was one of those things that I was not 100. I didn't 100% say, okay, this is it until that time period.
Yeah, it's the exact same for me. The
Yeah.
pandemic was, the catalyst to me like taking it seriously,
Hmm.
and looking at it as something I could do professionally,
Yeah.
and realizing people are doing this and not everyone. I think realizing you don't always have to be the biggest star. You don't have to be Zendaya or Queen
Hmm.
Latifah
Yeah.
to do what you want to do. Like you can have a career making enough money to live a good life and still be able to do your art,
Hmm.
and enjoy what you do and have money to do other projects that excite you. Um, yeah, I think that would definitely be the event. Obviously, yeah, graduating to
Yeah.
having more time and not having to do homework is nice. Definitely the pandemic for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely, yeah. Also like the double whammy of it all too, because it was like
Mhm.
I graduated and the pandemic. So it's just like,
Yeah.
wow, so many changes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot. But it came out, to be once again like something that was once again, like you said, like a catalyst. So that works.
Yeah.
Um, Pop question real quick. What are some of your hopes for the entertainment world? Like what are some things that you're hoping to happen, whether it's ASAP or like in the future? What do you want to see?
Mm. I mean, nothing's gonna happen ASAP, but when these
Yeah, I
contract
guess like in a
negotiations
year.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, these contract negotiations and or the writer strikes and
Yeah.
that's really exciting that they'll have a whole new contract which will take into account streaming because I feel like streaming popped up so quickly and no one
Hmm.
had any time to be like, wait a minute,
Hmm.
wait a minute, yeah. So that's a good question. I hope to have, I mean, I guess it's like kind of what's already happening, but like more variety of shows that, aren't, I mean, not just about Black people or just inclusive Black people, but like more queer stories that aren't trauma based. I think like there's a portion of the 90s, early 2000s, like those type of movies that I always go back to because, they were just there were so many Black movies at the time, and a lot of them were about dumb shit. And we need to bring back the dumb shit. Like
Yeah.
it's too, I don't want to say it's too serious, but we're in a time of like authenticity. Everything needs to connect to
Hmm.
something else that's really authentic and grounded and serious. And it's a beautiful time because we're getting really amazing stories,
Hmm.
everything, everywhere, all at once, Parasite, that are like fun and interesting, but also like they're very serious and they have this whole other metaphor for
Hmm.
capitalism or classism. And it's great. It's cool, but like let's
Yeah.
bring back the dumb stuff a little bit. The blackening was the first of many I hope to see
Hmm.
that is just like sometimes I just want to turn my brain off and go to the movie and just, leave and be like, that was good. Like,
Right.
ha ha he he, just had a really good time. It was a good
Yeah.
movie, it was good acting, good writing, and it was just overall just a fun experience.
Hmm.
That's I do hope to see more of that in the future. And I think we are getting more of those creators who are getting actual green light. Like the
Hmm.
fact that, Bottoms is getting created and it's, by Elizabeth Banks company is one of the production companies under it. So
Hmm.
they're getting funding like from other people. I'm like, this is great. Like it's
Yeah.
not just an indie film that's like never getting seen again. So I think that's exciting. I think also the business has changed so much that people, even if they're not getting bought at the script stage, they're getting bought at, Tribeca or like, so I think people have more of a chance to, get their work out there. So I hope the industry starts to again invest in more original stories.
Hmm.
Um, because I think it's hard as creators because now we're in a place where they want us to put up all the money to make it happen. They want you to spend
Yeah.
$30,000 to do a concept trailer, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, we like that." And before you could have just sent, a little pitch deck and a script, and they were like, "Oh, this is good. We're gonna help you develop it." And now it's like, we need to see a lot more than that because no one wants to take
Yeah.
a chance on the original. But
Hmm.
I hope to see the industry take more chances, especially with just people of color in general, like Black folks, but also like Asian stories, like,
Hmm.
that are not just K-pop dramas as well. Like they've been
Yeah.
making a big come up on Netflix, and I like that the international movie scene in general. Like I watched this Jordanian series uh on Netflix
Hmm.
and like Elite. So there's like a lot of different shows that are like Spanish shows or like Jordanian. I'm
Yeah.
like, what reason would I have to ever
Hmm.
watch this if it didn't pop up
Yeah.
on my like? And I like that. Like we're now getting exposure to like, all these other creators, across the board and
Hmm.
seeing Black Parisian, seeing, folks from a whole other side,
Yeah.
and what they create and what's important over there.
Hmm.
Um, to like just kind of unify us generally because I think we just don't understand or we don't really have real knowledge of like what's happening in the world
Hmm.
around us. Like the US tends to center itself in every story, every movie, and it's like there's like a lot happening.
Yes. You read my mind on a lot of the stuff because I was literally thinking the same things, like the blackening bottoms, literally that
Hmm.
trajectory of how you got there was exactly what I was thinking of. So we're on the same page in regards to that. um I would love to see more creativity and more stories, and just something
Yes.
different on the table.
Yeah.
So I hope we see that. I would say I think it's possible that maybe it or it was happening necessarily. Maybe it got paused, as we're in a strike right now. But
Hmm.
um, hopefully we see it soon. I feel like you said, like I feel like we're starting to see some stuff happen. So I
Yeah.
feel like we're possibly in that transition period.
which I'm excited for. I think
Mhm.
it's weird because I feel like the industry does go through like the 2012s was like the supernatural. We had Twilight, we had the dystopian. Like it was a lot of all
Uh-huh.
the same
Sci-fi
movies.
fantasy.
Stuff like that. I had a good time. I still
Me
watch those
too.
movies.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Twilight
Divergent,
fan.
all
Divergent,
Twilight,
which they
Hunger
never finished.
Games.
Still hurt. But like that whole period, and then I feel like we're in like a serious grounded period. So I think the
Mhm.
next period might be goofy, and I think you're right. We might be seeing it the beginning of our goofy era.
Yes, that's cool.
Yeah,
Ah, I'm excited for that.
I'm so excited. I
Yes.
You have no idea how much I was like screamed when I like watched the trailer for Bottoms. I was like, yes, like this is what I want. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just love
Um,
them. I know she's gonna be awkward and great, but yeah,
yes. And that's kind of like her thing. And I really love that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So shout out if you haven't heard of Bottoms, go look at the trailer for the
please,
listeners out there.
right.
Um, and then my last question. Are there any words of encouragement you could give to any aspiring Black creators out there listening to this podcast?
I mean, this is it's so, I mean,
It
just
doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like this like big
big thing.
philosophy, like,
I mean, I would just say like you are enough, just do it.
Ooh, okay. See, right there. You are enough, just do it. And
Yeah.
it's like the reason why I'm like, see, is like literally it's that simple. Like tell
Yeah.
your brain to shut up
Yes,
and
it's
like
true.
go do it. The worst you could get is a no. Like
Exactly. Hold no
that's it.
expectations over it and
Mhm.
just do it. Have fun
Oh
while you
yes,
do
yes, yes.
it. And
Bringing back
just
the enjoyment that
the
you had mentioned.
enjoyment.
Hmm.
It's sometimes I think it's hard to find enjoyment when you're like pumping it out for the sake of like, "Ugh, I just want to get a call back. Like, I just wish, why am I not booking anything? And
Yeah.
it can weigh on you, even when you
Hmm.
try to like let it go, it's just like sometimes you're like, "Ugh," it keeps popping up in your brain.
Hmm.
But you just gotta, it really is a marathon, not a sprint. Like
Yeah.
people sometimes don't break big in their career until they've been doing it for 10, 20 years. And that is okay because it
Hmm.
should be about the process, the journey. And I'm trying so hard
Yeah.
to find the joy
I feel that.
in the process and focus on
Hmm.
how do I make this exciting for me or fun every time that I do it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
100% agree. Um, I think especially like I feel like I don't know if you like our age, like we feel like it needs to be now thing. And I try to remind
Hmm.
myself like, yes, they're there and they're the same age as you, but you have different paths and it's okay.
It's hard.
Yeah. I know it's hard. It is, but reminding yourself of that is kind of the
Yes.
way to go about it. Um, but
Retweet.
in connection with that too, mine is kind of in a sense of maintaining like your being yourself and being true to yourself and like your authenticity. I think about that in a sense of my biggest like reminder for that like is Tabitha Brown because like
Hmm.
she got to where she is purely by being herself. Like she's just her. And so like you never know where truly like what happens with you just being you. Don't try to be what you think somebody else wants, because usually you never know. And just be you, be authentic
Yeah,
and stay true to yourself and your values as well. Don't lose those in the process. So
the
that's
thousand
mine.
percent. That's very true.
Yeah.
I love Tabitha Brown.
Me too. I got too much stuff for hers at this
Right.
point.
No, have you had her vegan spreads at Target? They're
In my fridge.
so right.
In my
They're
fridge.
so good.
I
I'm
got the
like, man.
okra.
Oh,
Yeah.
fancy.
Yes, I went back for the okra. It's good. When she did her
Oh, second
last,
release.
yeah, the second release for the
I
okra.
hope
Yeah,
they continue selling them. I'm scared. I'm like, let me go back and get my little lemon
yeah,
spread because it's so good.
yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm plugging all these
Um,
people.
right. Free promo. Like
Right.
at this point. But this was fun. This was such a good conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you, Obinne, for coming on and talking with me about just being a Black creator and our journeys, and they've just begun in reality. Like
Yes.
we've got a ways to go. So I'm excited to see where you go. I'm excited to see where I go. And as always, if you ever the support is here. So if you ever need anything, I know you sent me
Same.
stuff before, and if I ever see anything that relates to you, I'll send you stuff too. And then I hope some listeners at home wherever you listen to this podcast, you like connected with this for a minute or a moment or a time, always know that there's someone out there who can relate and feel those things. So definitely feel free to reach out. Don't be indoors like me a little bit too much. And then I hope y'all as listeners can take something from this conversation and be able to apply it somewhere in your world. Tell us what you thought about this episode in the Q&A section as always. If you like this episode, share it with a friend to get notified when new episodes drop. Don't forget to follow the podcast. You can also follow me at KaVonna on Instagram to stay updated. And then you can also follow Obinne at life.ala.obi on Instagram to connect with her. I'll drop it in the description as well. And then once again, this has been an episode of the Introvert Social Hour. Get some sunshine, get some air, have an amazing, amazing week. And I will see you next week. Thanks for joining and bye.